待て相良行くぞくそ
While many Apothecary fans such as myself are hot-blooded boys, there's no doubt that this female lead anime has captured the hearts of many girls around the world all the same. And while maomao herself is one to watch, you have to look no further than male lead Jinshi to understand why that is. A tale as old as time. If you wanna catch a guy, get a hot waifu. And if you wanna catch a gal, make sure you have a smoldering husbando at the ready. But as many of you may know, Apothecary Diaries didn't invent the husbando character. There have been many great entries in anime history, but what exactly makes Jinshi one of the better ones? And my personal favorite? Cunning like a fox. Being the de facto manager of the Inner Palace, Jinshi needs more than a pretty face to keep all the politics and scheming in check. In fact, the very backbone of Apothecary Diaries as an anime lies in the many mysteries and issues that occur within the Inner Palace. While maomao is definitely the main character, using her supreme intelligence to crack cases, Jinshi is by no means behind in regards to smarts. Yeah, okay, he does often consult maomao, but that's usually when the cases at hand revolve around something only an apothecary would be keen on. Though as their bond deepened, he also didn't hesitate to consult her on more varied cases. That being said, Jinshi is more akin to a strategist than a genius. He knows how to get a job done and who would be needed for it. It's only natural that he makes the most of the capable hands surrounding him, including maomao and even his trusted aide Gao Shun. Initially, the reason he was even approaching maomao professionally was due to how useful her intelligence was, specifically referring to her as a useful chess piece in the battles to come. Getting into all this, I can't help but think of a very similar husbando from another anime that shares such leadership traits. Of course, I can only be referring to Dazai Osamu, the ultimate schemer himself from Bungo Stray Dogs. Quite a popular guy to anime fans himself. In the anime, Dazai is shown as an almost unparalleled genius, always a step ahead on the happenings within the anime. Rather than getting himself too involved with things, he prefers to put the right people in the right place, trusting in their nature to achieve a desired outcome. All very precise and convoluted, but that's just what you get when you get deep in some superpower anime. Point is, Dazai is a pretty popular character mainly because of his strength in mind. Yeah, let's ignore the yaoi shipping for now. Basically, he's smart, so he's cool as heck because of it. But as we talked about before, Jinshi isn't all that smart, so isn't Dazai just a better character? Well, hold your horses, cause in that statement itself lies the very reason why I find Jinshi to be a much more effective character in my eyes. Sure, there are moments where Dazai is bested, usually by equally intelligent foes, but Jinshi's constant struggle with staying ahead of palace affairs is a big part of what makes him endearing. He isn't just relying on people like maomao and Gao Shun because that's what he does. It's because he simply has no other choice. In the first place, much of the responsibilities he deals with, he doesn't even desire. All this, after all, is just an escape from a greater burden in the form of royalty. The line between success and failure isn't as apparent in such a gray, complex world. People die, schemes are pushed through, wars are ultimately waged. Many things that happen are out of Jinshi's control, and he isn't able to do much but deal with the cards that have been dealt. But on the brighter side of things, this just gives rise to more opportunities to shine.
そうですね。しかし、妃の話を聞くのも私の務めです。その仕事を取らないでいただけますか?
One of Jinshi's star traits is his beauty, and with his cunning, he makes full use of it in his role of managing the Inner Palace. A fantastic example of this is during the case with Li Shu seeing a ghost in her bath. Openly mocked and belittled by her own servants, Jinshi is seen throughout the episode maneuvering expertly with his beauty to manipulate the servants. It all culminates with him dropping his pretty boy facade for but a moment, using the servant's own lowered guard to corner her into submission, making it so Li Shu will be met with hopefully less harassment in the future. But while this case didn't ask for much sacrifice coming from Jinshi, it doesn't mean this is all he uses his beauty for. When it's required of him, he's demonstrated that he isn't afraid to even pose as a woman, dancing beautifully in the moonlight. All this to trick some scheming twins who had visited the Inner Palace. While he's still a step behind the likes of Dazai, or even his very own Maomao, Jinshi displays a grounded cunningness that makes him all the more relatable. In his heart, Jinshi is simply a young boy, thrust into obligation and responsibility wherever he goes. As we witness him struggle in his endeavors, we also get to see him grow and flesh out into his role as a prince and as a man. You know what we like seeing though? Some super thanks for this video. While you're at it, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more awesome content like this one. Join the comments too if you want to share some man love along with us. Strong like a Prince Charming.
腕を上げたな、バセ。
いえ、私の力任せの剣術では。
Let's get down to business. Jinshi would not be nearly as effective as he is as a physical presence if he weren't absolutely built. Now, I'm not just saying this in regards to swooning us guys and gals with shirtless scenes. As we find out later in the anime, Jinshi is the fabled moon prince of the kingdom. And while we may have only seen a quick glimpse of it nearing the end of season 2, frontline combat is an expected role asked of him. Slashing through enemies of the kingdom in a ferociously effective fashion, it's a look no one would have expected from the pretty boy eunuch. Nonetheless, Jinshi is there leading the troops and cutting his way to the princess in the tower, our adorable Maomao. But why is this cunning inner palace manager now at the helm of a battle for love? That is because he, along with the emperor, is the only one permitted to lead the Forbidden Army, an elite force that's kept for use by the royal family whenever they so deem it. But naturally, his physicality is not just a tool for warfare. As a member of royalty, plots of assassination and the like are par for the course, and having the strength and fitness to get through it all is a handy tool for any royal prince to be. Perhaps because of this thought process, including a certain incident when he was young, he had already been put into sword training for quite some time. But as an anime only, we've yet to find out what exactly the specific reason is, so that's one to look forward to. While not necessarily stoic, Jinshi does fall into the category of male lead that is strong and effective. Think of the likes of Kyoka Kudo from My Happy Marriage. Sure, Maomao is far from as helpless as Mio in that anime, but that's besides the point. Kyoka's sense of responsibility coupled with his steadfast action to protect Mio is a very attractive sight to witness.
大丈夫だ。
私なんかのためにこんなところまで。
Other than his actions, Kyoka also has a striking beauty to him, skin free of any imperfections, kinda reminiscent of our masochistic boy. But while Jinshi shows martial prowess and good leadership on and off the battlefield, Kyoka has a more unique strength with this use of gifts. Fire, electric, and ice all bent to his will all at once to exercise glorious destruction. Okay, Jinshi clearly can't compete with that. But as I mentioned before, genre aside, the difference between them can be found in their personality. Kyoka is a very traditional lead, stoic, mysterious. In fact, the whole shtick of the anime in its early goings is Mio wondering whether or not Kyoka even likes her for real. In a way, it puts the narrative and thus the character on the more predictable side. On the opposite end, Jinshi wears his heart on his sleeve, clearly falling for Maomao's stink eye at first sight. He's bright and charming to the people he talks to in the inner palace, even looking for ways to joke or play around with his Maomao. All this makes it even better of a gap when he locks in and shows the skills he's been refining. Fearlessly diving and surviving 500-foot falls is a way more impressive sight coming from a guy who you don't expect it from after all. Jinshi's got the brains and the brawn. He's one of the core reasons why Apothecary Diaries is as successful and magnetic as it is. A dynamic character for a dynamic anime. You never know what can happen when such an interesting character is placed in even more interesting situations. What's more, there's a whole lot more to the series than just Jinshi alone.
何かかけるものさえあれば。
In equal footing. While all we talked about definitely makes for a good male lead like Jinshi, the real secret sauce is yet to come. As we've talked about in the channel before, Apothecary Diaries is one of my absolute favorite animes. And that's for good reason. The interconnecting plot lines, the amazing world building, and of course the fantastic character writing. Jinshi is great as an individual, but we can't really see him in any sort of way that isn't alongside the titular lead Maomao. These two are paired up for a reason, and it isn't the typical case of completing each each other. Jinshi is well known already in the world as a beautiful and responsible eunuch in the inner palace. Maomao is a genius apothecary with smarts good enough to adapt to pretty much any environment. What's more, Jinshi is literal nobility while Maomao is but a simple servant girl. A story of two completely separate worlds, yet Jinshi and Maomao, despite all their social differences, are two characters who stand on equal ground. That's the very reason their banter together is so fun to watch.
大丈夫です。すぐ縫いますんで。
The very reason their relationship isn't at all far-fetched. When Jinshi needs a sharp detective mind, he knows who to go to. When Maomao needs someone to mooch off of, Jinshi is there all the same. There have been many female MCs who appear almost helpless without their hunk of man beside them. Maomao is not one of those MCs. Jinshi is all the more pleasant to watch over during his weak moments and strong ones because of who Maomao is. Because we know as fans who he gets mad for, who he fights for, and who he wants to be stronger for. How do you feel about Jinshi as the male lead of Apothecary Diaries? Does he hold up to the many other great husbandos out there? As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment down below what you thought of today's video. We can't wait to hear it.